Welcome to Profit and Sense, a show for small businesses looking to grow with practical wisdom and tips. My name is Peter Akarakiri. Today, I'm joined by Bongo Mafulela. Bongo is a CPA. So rather than me introducing him, I'll let the man introduce himself. So who is Bongo?
Hi, Peter. Thank you for having me. Who is Bongo? Like Peter said, I'm a CPA. Um, I've got about 10 years of experience in the accounting industry. I'm a husband, um, not yet a father, but hopefully that's in the future. And God-fearing person here by God's grace, and that's the center of everything. Uh, I could be described in many different ways. A Swiss knife. I'm adaptable. I adapt to many different situations. Yeah, I've got a love for my community, and yeah, just yeah.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, definitely I can testify to that is definitely a man that loves his community. So yeah, thank you, Bongo, for joining the show as well. So how would your just a little bit more icebreaker so that the viewers or the listeners would know who you are. How would your friends describe you?
Well, I can only hope uh, that they'll describe me as a loyal friend, someone who is dependable when they need an extra hand. Just someone who's trustworthy and just being there for them, or yeah, vice versa as well. Yeah, that's what I'd hope they'll describe me as. They'll probably also say uh, maybe that I'm a nerd, being an accountant. One is described being a nerd when you're an accountant and stuff like that. But a traveler too, because yeah, with my wife we do quite a bit of traveling, and yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So let's switch the topic up a little bit and ask some accounting questions and maybe we'll switch into because there's some element of technology in this show as well. So then we'll ask some technology question, obviously how it applies to the accounting world. So as an accountant, like you see companies these days and the economic situation is not very favorable and all of that, and there's all of this high interest rate, right? Like, what would you advise companies on how to survive, this economic situation that we found ourselves in right now?
Yeah, for small businesses, the key aspects that I believe is the first is always like forecasting. You always want to be forecasting into the future, like pretty regularly. Working at the company I work for, I mean, we you do forecast every quarter for every quarter, right? Which
Okay.
is a reflection of the market then, right? Because
Mhm.
within if budgets that companies set up at the beginning of a financial year are only as good as the market is. And sometimes those get outdated pretty quick. But when one is forecasting, you're updating with current information and all of that. To give an example, because I work in the pulping industry, the last year in the pulping industry, the prices were skyrocket. They had hit the ceiling, and like right now, the market is the complete opposite. The prices are probably closer to the floor. So that's when that forecasting becomes important because that outlook has changed. So for a business as well, you need to be adaptable. And sometimes how businesses can adapt is first first step is probably cutting down on things per se. So uh, if you're a small business and you're used to buying your large Starbucks coffee every day, maybe that might be something you want to forego in a market that's got a little bit more turmoil. Um, Other big things are looking for grants. There are always grants out there for small businesses. Um, yeah, search for those grants and try make use of that as well. Yeah, taking a look at your risk aspect, or um, as well as trying to diversify your portfolio as well. If you sell apples, yes, keep if you sell apples, then that's the main thing. Keep the main thing, but find ways to also bring in other business to diversify, because tomorrow, if people don't like apples anymore, then as a business, because you're failing to adapt, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, which could be economic conditions, then as a business you might falter there. So yeah, you just also need to remain agile, like the Swiss knife. uh, can be used for various things, right? So yeah, it's that ability to adapt. um, Interest rates as well, try seek speaking to bankers and find opportunities um, um, to refinance if you can. Likewise, if you've got extra cash, if the interest rates are also high, that might also mean that banks are uh, giving out more in terms of GICs. So maybe if you want to lock up a little bit there to also benefit from that. So yeah, there's so many different ways, and yeah, those are just a few that I think, yeah, are important.
Very well. Wow. That's definitely packed with a lot of tips and that can help businesses in this time that we found ourselves for sure. Um, just to follow up on that, like what are a few things that you see as someone looking at numbers, and you mentioned forecasting and analysis and all of that. What differentiate the profitable uh, companies and companies that are struggling? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what do you see if you compare and contrast, on both sides? What do you see differentiate the profitable ones and the struggling ones?
The difference between profitable and struggling, I mean, you can, the main thing is the main thing, which is your income statement, right? To see how profit is being generated. But at the same time as well, you can look at, one of the key aspects for me is looking at a cash flow statement, because that can tell you straight away whether a business is making money from its actual operations, or it's other sources that are actually keeping the company afloat and stuff like that. Yeah, you can look at things like accounts payable or accounts receivable. Like accounts receivable as well, like how well um, you're collecting on invoices and stuff like that. Because if you're seeing like looking at that summary, it's good to look at the summary, like 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. If you look at that summary there, and if you see that, say for example, you've got 100,000 in receivables, and you've got 60,000 of that sitting in over 90-day period, that's going to hinder your business big time, because you're not, in terms of working capital, is going to affect you. You're not able to turn that into cash quick enough, and that might lead to other things, inability to be able to pay your bills on time, and paying your other creditors as well. So that's where the AP as well comes into play as well, because now in if your accounts payable are higher than your what you're receiving, then right there as well, it also indicates inability to be able to pay uh, any vendors and stuff like that. So yeah,
Mm, mm,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's that you made it really clear there. That's really good. That's really good. Switching topic a little bit. So in the last year or two, there's the trend in terms of technology wise, it's been going towards AI and all of that. and there's ChatGPT, there is Bard, there is Mid Journey. There are loads of other, AI systems that's captured the imagination of the public, and it's very prevalent right now. So I just want to hear your point of view. Like, how do you see artificial intelligence, for example, maybe in general, not necessarily ChatGPT, but if ChatGPT is going to help as well. But how do you see it being used in the accounting industry? Do you use it? How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it'll play a big role, like in terms of data entry. Because for us at work we use SAP, and um, there are some functions that it is actually that are actually, I don't know if it's if that's AI or how long that's been there, but they're automated transactions. So the system will, because we deal a lot in US dollars, right? So on a daily basis, the system will find what the exchange rate is and post certain transactions automatically. So it's that data entry. So that almost somewhat removes a person, because it's going on the internet, searching what the exchange rate is, putting it in the system, and posting very generic, like certain transactions that it puts through there. Yeah, which is cool in my view. And um, likewise, in the ability, maybe in the future, to be able to read financials or uh, analyze information. When I look at it in terms of my job, it would be hard to replace me with AI, because essentially most of the information, when I do analysis, it actually involves talking to people. So, for example, I analyze chemicals at work. So, say if the chemical usage at work is high, my first point of call is to go talk to like process engineers and be like, hey, so we blew our brains out on chemicals. What happened? And then they'll tell me X, Y, Z. This is what happened. This is what happened. So unless that information is in emails or some other way where AI can now then go into that and read the information, all that, if the information is through email, and then sort of translate that, be like, oh, okay, this is what happened here. It's yeah, it'll be pretty hard. But I think on the data analysis, like I think for taxes, it'll be very useful there. Um, Say reading and interpreting taxes, or say you got a letter of from the CRA and you don't understand it, then maybe you could plug that into ChatGPT. I'm not sure how good that is, but um, I know it's really smart, because I remember testing it on when it initially came out, and I signed up, and I was like, because people were talking about, at the time there was uh, the discussion that ChatGPT was able to write a law exam and it passed it with flying colors. So I was like, oh wow, okay, let's see how smart it is. So I pulled an old CPA case, and I was like, and I plugged it in the thing, and I was like, oh, let's see how smart it is. It wasn't able to answer all the questions, but it was answering them individually. Like, just it was only be able to answer one question at a time. So I mean, it's only a matter of time for it to get better. But yeah, it's pretty cool as well to see where it'll all end up as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one area that you mentioned too, the forecasting aspects. I mean, the way I see it is more like it's I don't obviously I see it as, for some of the jobs that we do, it can complement, those jobs and help us to be more productive.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, the human aspect, you probably it will be hard or maybe a little bit tough to replace that, but it will make us, help us to be more productive in some sense, right? or more
Yeah,
in some aspect of our job, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Because an example is in our team, because I'm based here in Kamloops, but our head office is in Montreal. So there's some of our finance tasks that are carried out here and some that are carried out at our head office. And one of our team members is going on vacation, and because we've also lost some employees, it's not easy to we don't have the availability to pass on her tasks to someone else because everybody else is already all busy. So now the our SAP experts as well have now been tasked with trying to see how they can automate some of her functions because uh, they've seen that maybe some of the tasks can be automated. So again, that's shifting more onto that technology side to see how you can improve because all the everybody's hands are full already, right? So now you need to sort of adapt to the situation that's at hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good example of how automation or technology can help, at least to augment, someone else's work, right? Or your department or the bigger company and all of that. Yeah, that's really good. Um, in terms of profit, because we mentioned profitability earlier in terms of differentiating between, profitable companies and struggling businesses and stuff like that. Um, do you see maybe AI like driving profit in any way? You see that happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can see it happening because, like, say for example, a lot of these websites now they have these chatbots where, say for example, if you're looking at a car or something, if you go to the Toyota website, they've got this AI chatbot where you can almost literally have a conversation with, depending on what you're asking it, and it might have solutions for you. And if it doesn't, it'll pass you on to someone else. I think banking is using that a lot as well. Where if you call the bank now, like they'll see if AI can actually provide you with a solution, and if they can't, then they'll pass you on to a person. I can't remember. There was a company in the US at my old job that I used to contact, and it was almost like I would say they were like 90% AI. So you're trying to get to the when you call them, you're trying to get to the part where you can talk to a person, but it's not giving that option.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're talking to a computer and the computer wants to give you the answer, but you want to talk to a person because you've got a question that is a little bit more specific, or yeah, you feel it's not going to give you the right answer, sort of. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. So they basically in customer service and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Customer service or uh
Data entry too, because uh, there was a version of QuickBooks as well. I can't remember which one it is. This is like back in the day. I think this was back in accounting when I worked at the accounting firm, and uh, this QuickBooks, what it had the ability of doing was you would download a bank transaction. It was linked to your bank, and then it would download all the transactions from your bank, and then it would basically read them and then say, "Oh, okay, these transactions, yeah," because it reads the bank statement and it says, "Okay, this should go here, this should go here," and then all you had to do as a human being was just look at the transaction and say, "Oh, okay, yes, 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 yes," and then the ones where some of them will get confused, then now you deal with those. So it's cutting down your time in terms of data entry, but then at least you're now focusing your time on you can consider them tasks that are more important because I think in the background it would be reading um your system and where similar transactions with a similar name go to and stuff like that, and which is good. I think it would also help small businesses who maybe they don't have time, right? They're doing their own thing, they're doing their own bookkeeping, trying it might help them that way. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Yeah, that kind of brings us almost to the end because we want to keep it nice and short. One final question is there any question I should have asked you that I didn't?
Question, maybe where I'll be in the next 5 years, or who do you recommend that I can to interview next, sort of.
For sure.
Yeah,
Okay, sure. Next
yeah,
5 years, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Next 5 years, we can talk about that one.
yeah. Well, yeah, next 5 years. Yeah, I hope continue to climb the finance ladder. I'd love to write a book. I'd love to write a book
Okay.
that can help small businesses, because having worked in industry for small businesses and sort of managing finances, I feel like I do have a few nuggets that um, I'd love to put in a book, because um, yeah, I think in life you always need to keep challenging yourself, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying. So
Sure.
you need to continue to grow and add value, and who knows, the ideas that this book would help future generations. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that book for sure. Now that you said it, now you gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Bongo, thank you so much for taking the time out to join the show and tell us a little bit about what you do, accounting stuff, and use of technology and AI. So, to the next time, take care, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Yeah. Bye.